All right, series rules, Days of Glory, game series by Frederick Bay. All right, allocation of orders from Chapter 2 on orders and activation. So at the beginning of each turn during Phase A, the two players select among their respective tactical groups those which will receive orders and will be considered with orders from headquarters, or abbreviated received orders, for the rest of the turn. The number of orders is limited by the order rating of each Commander-in-Chief. All tactical groups which did not receive orders are without orders from headquarters or abbreviated no orders. To mark their choices secretly, the players place an received orders marker or a no orders marker face down on any unit of each tactical group in play. In order to be placed in received order status, a tactical group must have at least one of its units within command range of a Commander-in-Chief. So that's pretty hard in strict interpretation there. Okay. What this leads to, I'm sure this isn't going to happen very often, but I was thinking about this earlier, that if you have your Commander-in-Chief, and then you have 3 or 4 tactical groups, and each of those and all those tactical groups are outside the command range of the Commander-in-Chief, then even if that Commander-in-Chief had a command rating of or an orders rating of 4, it wouldn't make any difference. The opposing player would know that all of those tactical groups are without orders. Unless I have this wrong, I mean, I'll see it in play, but basically the hidden part, the shell game, so to speak, is really only among the tactical groups that are within tactical or within the command range of the Commander-in-Chief. So in that sense, why would you even bother putting an orders marker on a tactical group that is outside command range of the Commander-in-Chief, unless it's just some kind of reminder? All right. I was I mean, you could have a mechanic, of course, it's one level more of detail, where a Commander-in-Chief has X number of orders to give within his command range and 0 or more orders to give outside command range. Anyways, effective orders and activations. The orders marker of a tactical group is not turned face up until that group's first action marker is drawn and its formation activated thereby. Once revealed, it remains in force for the entire turn. The actions listed according to whether units are in or with orders or without orders are performed step by step for all tactical groups of a single formation. Clarification: thus it is not necessary to perform actions with all units of one tactical group before performing actions with those of a different tactical group. The units of a formation may perform actions at full capacity if they are received orders, or at reduced capacity if they are no orders, depending on the orders marker that has been assigned to the tactical group to which they belong. Oh, that's the other thing about what I was talking about earlier. So to maximize fog of war, confusion, whatever you want to call it, with a human opponent, you would want to keep all your tactical groups within command range of your Commander-in-Chief. And that, by itself anyways, at least superficially, sounds right. That sounds correct. All right. Received orders. Units may in the following order carry out artillery fire, move normally, including charge, movement, and reduced movement for artillery which has fired. Make a forced march if allowed, engage in shock combat, or charge without an engagement test, and then attempt to rally. And then units, for no orders, units may in the following order either attempt to benefit with one tactical group at a time from the initiative of a leader with the consequences given. 2, 4, 3. Oh, okay. Okay, so attempt. All right, this is still not a native English rule set. Not native English language rule set, but now I get it. Then basically, attempt. They may attempt to operate with initiative. Okay. Or perform artillery fire without an engagement test. Move. Okay, move including charge movement after. Okay. Okay, so it's test for initiative or do all these other things. Wait, that's. All right. Move including charge movement after an engagement test with a reduced movement capacity, except for artillery which has fired and cavalry units which have failed their charge engagement test. These may not move. Engage in shock combat after an engagement test or charge. Engagement test already performed by charging cavalry before moving. Attempt to rally. Oh yeah. Okay, that is correct. Yes, that is correct. Now it makes sense. At this point, when you flipped over the orders marker, you revealed no orders. This is the point where you can choose to go for initiative and take the results of that initiative test one way or the other, or do these other things at reduced capacity. Okay, that makes sense. So then leader initiative. The initiative rating is indicated on the action marker of each, or activation marker, not action marker, activation marker of each formation. It corresponds to the degree of initiative of the formation's leader. Note the two AMs, okay, the two activation markers of a formation can have two different initiative ratings. After the formation's activation marker is randomly drawn from the cup, its initiative rating can be utilized by every tactical group from that formation that has no orders. So this might also be units that are within command span of the Commander-in-Chief, but they just didn't get in order because the Commander-in-Chief didn't have and decide to give them in order. Okay. That is, in order to do this, the player tests the leader's initiative. He rolls 1d10 for each tactical group with no orders, subtracting the die roll modifier of the Commander-in-Chief if at least one of the units in the tactical group is within command range. So there's still a benefit to keeping, there's still a command control benefit to keeping your tactical groups within command span of the Commander-in-Chief, even if that Commander-in-Chief doesn't have enough orders to give out to all the tactical groups that you want. All right. If the modified die roll is equal to or lower than the leader's initiative rating, all units of the tactical group receive, solely for the current activation, the capabilities of units in a tactical group which has received orders. So, but you don't want, I don't think you want to change the marker out, because when the second AM activation marker of the formation is drawn later, it will be necessary to repeat the initiative test. So you don't want to change out the orders. You still want to show them as not having orders. But you'll just have to know, because you're doing it right then and there, that if you succeed with the initiative roll, those units right then and there for that current activation are going to act as if they have orders, okay? But they don't actually have orders. So if the modified die roll, though this is the important part, which does now make sense, if the modified die roll is higher than the initiative rating of the leader, the units cannot take any action except rally attempts. Like I said before in an earlier video, there is a cost to trying, so there is a cost to, there is a cost to just automatically rolling for initiative, because otherwise why have all these mechanics if there is no cost, because then you would obviously roll for initiative with every unit that doesn't have orders, which is another way to design it. But here the designer decided to give you an extra choice here with an effect. So that's interesting. So a formation has no orders, so it's basically going to be at reduced capacity or reduced capability. I guess reduced capability. And then you can take a chance, roll for initiative, and sweep all those penalties away and operate as if you were fully ordered, or lose almost all capabilities and just have the rally attempts left available to you. Interesting. That is interesting. All right, Commanders-in-Chief. Players each have one or more Commanders-in-Chief. Now this is going to be interesting for me, thinking about when there's more than one Commander-in-Chief for a side on the map at one time. But I guess each Commander-in-Chief just has all the... Well, no. It actually isn't necessarily that simple. I guess I'll have to see this in action. But each Commander-in-Chief possesses 3 characteristics: a die roll modifier for initiative tests by commanders and for strategic initiative. Okay, initiative test by commanders and for strategic initiative. An orders rating, command range expressed in hexes. This is unaffected by any restrictions, unaffected by terrain, impassable terrain, or units, friendly or enemy, or Zocs. All right, Commanders-in-Chief may move once per turn, expending up to a maximum of 7 movement points during the activation of any one of their formations of their army. They are then flipped to their reverse side to indicate that they have finished moving. They'll have a white stripe across the center, the middle of the chit. They may not enter an enemy Zoc alone. That makes sense. They may not enter an enemy Zoc by themselves. They may not use forced march. All right, elimination of the Commander-in-Chief. If an enemy unit moves adjacent to the counter of a Commander-in-Chief. If an enemy unit, moves adjacent to the counter of a Commander-in-Chief, the latter may, if stacked with a friendly unit, or must, if alone in the hex, recoil 1 or 2 hexes immediately. This recoil may be made into or through an enemy Zoc, so that's interesting. So you have a immediate get out of the area option there. All right, if a Commander-in-Chief is stacked with a unit which recoils or retreats after combat, he must accompany it. He may freely leave that unit when he next moves. Okay. So I guess a leader could move back with a friendly unit as a result of combat, and then later move normally, as already explained. Okay. If a Commander-in-Chief is still stacked with a routed unit during Phase E, and Phase E is route and demoralization phase, he must accompany it in its route movement and is eliminated if that movement takes him off the map. Okay, Commander-in-Chief may also be eliminated if he is obliged to retreat through enemy units. If he is eliminated, all the formations of his army have no orders until the end of the game, unless the army has more than one Commander-in-Chief. So that, that's pretty significant. Pretty significant effect.